Hi, my name is Judith Wadding. I am a professor of early childhood education, child development, and I am being recognized for 20 years of service.
I'm Bill McCarrier. I've been a trustee of BC3 for 20 years. 8 of those years were as an ex officio member of the Board of Trustees because I was a county commissioner. And the other 12 years I was appointed by the Board of Commissioners to serve as a trustee.
I'm Karen Reithmiller. I'm a professor here at Butler County Community College. I teach computer-aided drafting and machining. I'm being recognized for 20 years of service, although I have been here since 1985 part-time for 30 years.
Hi, I'm Steve Joseph, and I'm Dean for Library Services, and I'm being recognized for being here for 20 years.
50 years ago, and I'm one of the few people that can remember 50 years ago when they were talking about building this college, I'll have to admit that I was one of the skeptics. There were so many colleges around. We had Slippery Rock, Rose City, Clarion, Indiana, Geneva, and all the colleges in Pittsburgh. And I thought, why do we need another college?
When I first started here, it was in 1972. We had drafting classes that were actually over in the old physics lab where hospitality management is now.
The early childhood program had not yet been established. In fact, as I spent several years visiting this campus to try to convince them that they needed this program.
When I started, I think the library had one database that was on a CD-ROM, and every month they would ship us a new one, and we'd install that. I think that was the only automated database we had.
It didn't take me long to be a believer, because I saw that what this college would afford the students to do. They could get an education at a very low cost. And many of these students and graduates of BC3 would have not had a college education were it not for this institution. It's made the community a better place.
And it was a whole different world because I was a woman in a man's field. When I actually took my first classes here, they put me in architecture because women didn't do mechanical things.
Finally, and I don't have any idea what changed their mind, but it was Dr. Dodge and David Huseman and Harry Ling who finally agreed to listen to what I had to say. So I actually created the program. I wrote every single class, picked every single textbook, and started the actual program in 1993. That was the first class. That was when we held the first class in early childhood education.
Now it's just an exponential difference in terms of what students can find online through our resources, through the internet, what databases we're able to provide them, what array of full text articles we can provide them, what e-books we can provide them. It's just a completely different landscape, and I think it's changed how people study. I think it's also changing how people think a little bit.
One of the things I'm sure you don't know about me, for a number of years I served as a floor manager in a roller skating rink when I was going to college.
I bet you didn't know that I played piano.
That was fun. I always liked to roller skate. I learned as a small child to roller skate, and I always enjoyed it. And I had a job as a floor manager in the Etna Springs roller rink up near Slippery Rock.
So I've played piano ever since I was 5, and I was actually looking at going to the conservatory to be a pianist or a librarian. And my brother said, well, what do you want to do that for? Why don't you go be a draftsman? And that's how I got involved in doing drafting.
I bet you didn't know that I once applied to Clown College and was rejected.
Oh, I bet you didn't know this about me. I was the first, this is going to really date me, I was the first head majorette at Knoch High School.
So I applied at the same time that I applied to Pitt, to graduate school. I figured I was going to go to one Clown College or another. And I didn't get into Clown College, but I got into Pitt. So
that takes me way, way back. But I was only 5 when I was the head majorette.
I remember sitting 50 years ago, probably more than 50 years ago, in Digger Young's living room with 2 of the county commissioners. Now, I don't know why we were there, what we were talking about, but they were talking about their dream for this community college and what they expected it to achieve.
One thing that we found, which I found fascinating, was we found an old slide set that was slide photos that were taken of the library not too long after it opened. and it included a narration by Mary Barr, one of the early librarians, and it was actual photos of a brand new Beck library.
What it has done over this past 50 years is remarkable, and the 50 years has gone so fast. I guess life goes fast, and the older you get, the faster it goes. They always said, I believe that now.
One of the most striking photos was include a photo of the upstairs before the skylight was covered over. And it was beautiful. The skylight, that's going to be uncovered as part of the renovation. I'm really looking forward to that because it was it's a really striking skylight. And I had no idea that this set existed.
In the language and literature class, which, by the way, I tell my students that if they are too shy to get up in front of the classroom, the student classroom, and read a story, they should use a puppet. And so I brought my puppet because of the fact that I am too shy to talk in front of people.
These are the old programs that we used to write, and that would have made this part here, which is kind of interesting. Now, through our program for CNC, this was done in CNC 3. I actually went and took the course at Votech at high school, where Aaron Klaus teaches our CNC 3 class. So I could teach the programming in that, but I hadn't done a lot of the actual machining. So I went, and this is one of the projects that we actually do. It's a little Stirling engine, and it runs and everything.
But probably the funniest thing was a story that I presented in language and literature class where I dressed the part, and Francie Spiegelmeyer did an observation that day. And so I absolutely made a total fool of myself in front of her, but it was fun to do.
So I think our students here, they can come, they get the best in technology, we have the latest software, our doors are always open. The professors in the science and tech area all have practical, on-hands experience in the real world, which is why I do a lot of teaching for industry.
I've always felt appreciated. I haven't felt that there's been a special time when finally I'm appreciated. I feel like that's been that hasn't been an issue for me. Feeling that what I do is appreciated and valued.
I get notes from students, and that makes it worth it, even if there's one a year who sends a note to me and says, Mrs. Wadding, I really, really loved what we did. I enjoyed everything that you did. One thing makes it worthwhile. So I can't point out one time that I felt truly appreciated.
I think I would like to be remembered as being there for my students, to be, if my students know that my door is always open, and if they ever need anything or whatever, they know that they can always come to me. I think that is the one thing that I really strive to achieve.
I'd like to be remembered as a servant of the community.
I love BC3. I really do. There is not a place, I think, anywhere that a student can come and learn and get the experience that they can at Butler County Community College.